Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. As I always say, don't use YouTube as a replacement for therapy. If you need a therapist, get one. You deserve it. Let's watch.
All this time, you just lied to me.
Okay, I think I had a question about that as to whether or not he was lying to her about having never had sex with anyone before, or if he was just not telling her about his past. Because, you know, you date someone, you don't necessarily tell about everything that you've ever done before. But she's confirming, at least according to her perspective, that he lied to her, which is wrong, of course. You lie about anything, particularly stuff like that. It's wrong, right? Well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes lies are considered justifiable, most time not. Anyway, so she's saying you lied to me, saying that you told me you had never had sex with anyone before, and now you're telling me that you did. You lied to me. So we're starting to see a lot of concerning behaviors from him and an attitude of entitlement to those lies that is concerning. But let's see what he says. He could say, yeah, I'm sorry for lying. It was totally unjustified. I was ashamed. I thought you'd leave me. Doesn't justify the lying, but it does provide some context that would show responsibility and self-reflection. Let's see what he says.
I was really nervous to tell you, and I'm sorry that I'm not perfect.
Okay, so he said, I thought you would, I was nervous about telling you because I think he was worried she was going to leave him. I wonder about that though, because she's not Mormon. Maybe she doesn't care. I don't know. Maybe she'll indicate either way. Either way doesn't mean you can lie to someone. Then he says, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. I don't know what he means by that. He could be saying, hey, I'm just sorry, hey, I'm not perfect, like some kind of excuse. Like, hey, everyone makes mistakes, lay off me, as if that somehow justifies straight up lying to someone. Or if he's saying, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect and pure the way that I wish that you could have someone. I wish you could be with someone that was more pure. I don't know, maybe he'll clarify.
And I'm not as chaste as you are.
Right. I think it was the second one that he was saying, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. I'm not as chaste as you are. So I think he's coming from that religious, dogmatic position of if you have sex prior to marriage, there's something impure or dirty about you. And so he's apologizing, saying, I'm sorry that I've dirtied myself. It's a completely dogmatic point of view, by the way. It's fine that people have that point of view, but it's not scientifically determined that there's something impure about you. There's nothing wrong with... Anyway, let's continue watching.
Did you just drink that wine?
Did you just sleep with other girls?
Yeah. So in the moment, he's concerned about her drinking wine, even though he just admitted to lying to her. So the fact that he had sex with other women, to me, that's not a problem. He's I don't know how old he is, but it'd be normal for people to date and have sex with people. The problem is the lying. To his religion, there's a problem because he broke certain tenets of purity or something. But the fact that he had sex is now maybe for her this is a big deal. I haven't heard enough from her to. I think she's concerned about the lying, of course, and she's concerned that he might be a liar and a cheater, and there's evidence he's currently cheating on her with her friend. We haven't seen his side of the story, but anyway. So in the moment, she drinks the whole glass of wine, either out of like, well, if you're going to be that way, I've been wanting to drink this whole glass of wine this whole time, so I'm just going to do it now. Or was it a passive aggression? I don't know. Either way, she just, she drank a glass of wine, big deal. And then he points it out. It's like context. You just admitted to lying to her, and we're starting to see a trend, and you're upset about her drinking a glass of wine.
When we first met, Steven introduced himself like an innocent, pure, like religious guy. He lied to me all this time, and this is the worst thing he could lie about.
I don't know. Certainly a lot of y'all believe this to be true or something along these lines, because I see people commenting about how much they dislike him. So I don't know, but it's possible that he's insecure about who he is, or he was raised in a way that made him believe that he's entitled to certain things, or he has a defensive structure of entitlement because he was treated as if he didn't have entitlement to normal things. I don't know. We probably will never find out. But either way, there's a chance that he halfway knowingly will lie to get people to like him, and he knows that there's a certain version of lying that tends to attract the sort of women that he associates with, that if you say you're pure and you're very interested in religion and treating people right and doing the right thing, it can, get people to let down their guard so that you can get your attachment needs met in a much more safe environment without actually putting in the work to gain someone's trust. I don't know, but at least with Alina, there are some yellow flags of that.
Just because I have had troubles living by all the standards of the church doesn't mean that I'm not trying to improve. That's why I was so worried about us living in the same apartment.
I feel like you are hypocritical with me.
So, according to my ethical standards, there's nothing wrong with him sinning and then asking for forgiveness, for sure. But he's been lying to her. So he's framing this as, look, don't judge me. I'm on this spiritual path and I've made some mistakes. Okay, it's your spiritual path. But you have lied to her about a number of things. So where's the acknowledgement and the apology for that?
You say that if I want to convert, I have to follow the commandments, read the Book of Mormon diligently. But at the same time, you lied to me.
So, yeah. What do I say about this? So the lying is the problem. And under any circumstance, whether you're atheist or Mormon or Christian or Muslim, lying is wrong. So that's a problem. The fact that he's Mormon and he wants her to be Mormon, that's fine. She could say no, of course. She's focusing on the hypocriticalness of that, which I think is not what I would focus on. What I would focus on is he's lied a number of times and doesn't seem to be that apologetic about it. That should be the huge red flag. The fact that he wants you to be Mormon, the fact that he wants you to be pure, the fact that he proposed that he was pure when he wasn't pure, and I'm putting it in a lot of quotes because there's nothing pure about not having sex, and there's nothing impure about having sex. Unless you believe that, which is a supernatural belief, it's fine if you believe in that supernatural idea. But there's nothing wrong with having sex. Sex is not dirty. Sex is a thing that people do, and you can attach meanings to it, but that's a decision you make anyway. So I would focus on the fact that he's lied, which is definitely immoral under any religious banner or atheist banner or magical, spaghetti monster banner.
That's why I agreed to delete my social media. I really am ready to move on and leave my bachelor life behind.
How many girls did you sleep?
So I don't, it's fine that they're going down this road, but if I were Alina, I'd be really focusing on the lying, not how many women he's slept with. He's focused, they're really focusing on the sex part. That's not the problem. He was dating and he had sex. That's between him and his Mormon dogma in terms of how he made a mistake. He doesn't have to answer to her for that. He does have to answer for lying and I guess potentially cheating on her, right? That he does have to answer for, but they're focusing on that. So I hope they get back to Alina saying, "Why did you lie to me? Are you sorry? Do you feel bad that you lied to me about this, this, and this?" I hope they get back to that conversation.
With
I've probably made out with over 100 And of those, maybe like 24.
Well, that's surprising. It's fine. Alina's laughing because she's like, oh, I'm sure, because I was expecting him to say, yeah, I've had sex with 3 women, but he's saying he's made out with 100 and he's had sex with 25, 24. Totally fine. I don't know what the average is for someone his age and in his region, but it's probably a little bit above average. But that's fine. You can make out with people as long as it's consensual and you're not lying to people about things. But it certainly does. It certainly does contextualize the lie, right? If he had had sex with 2 women, then it's still a lie that he said he didn't have sex with people. But to have sex with 24 women, which you just got to double that. Anytime someone's ashamed, physicians will do this and therapists as well. If I ask someone, okay, it sounds like you might have a little bit of a problem with alcohol. How often do you drink? How many drinks? Unless I can really trust the person's response, I'll usually double it in my mind, or I'll take the upper end of their range. They're like, oh, anywhere from 6 to 12 drinks. I'll write in my notes 12 drinks, because people just tend to do that. They tend to minimize, and there's a lot of reasons why he would want to minimize, and we've seen that he's capable of lying, and there's no way to verify. There's no way for her to call and say, like, okay, is he telling the truth? Because it's between him and all these other partners. So there's that. There's another possibility he's inflating, which, given his behavior, it's hard to predict him at this point. So there's a chance that I would say that's less of a chance. But anyway, so Alina's having a bit of a chuckle for that. But yeah, we want to focus on the fact it's fine that he had sex with 24 women. It's fine he made out with 100 women. The problem is he lied about it. That's the problem.
Or they were kind of more intimate, and maybe about 4 or 5 where it was we slept and had sex.
Oh, okay. I didn't let him finish. So 24, what I'm guessing to be third base stuff, and 5 where he had intercourse or sex with. So, okay. Still, it's a lot more than I think any of us would have imagined, given the way that he talks. Let's see what Alina says.
When was the last time when you had intimacy with other girls?
The last time was about last October.
Are you serious?
So I don't know what this timeline is, but I'm guessing what this means to Alina is while we were dating, you were dating other women and having sex with other people. I'm guessing that's what she's hearing right now. Let's see what she says.
We were in a relationship at that time.
It was towards the beginning when we had just started talking, and I had been explaining to you that I didn't feel ready to commit to a serious relationship yet.
So we weren't there, and there's 2 ends of this spectrum. One is that Alina deluded herself, and he was clear about their non-exclusivity. The other end of the spectrum is that he barely indicated and flat out lied about the exclusivity versus non-exclusivity of their relationship, or somewhere in the middle. Given everything that we've heard, it looks, like last episode, he's like, I feel like I remember, instead of, no, I said X, Y, and Z. Every time he recalls the past where it makes him look good, he's like, I feel like I told you. No, it's not an emotion. You either said it or you didn't. And it should be very clear. If he actually was ethical and truthful, he would have been extremely clear. I'm sorry, I'm breaking up with you, I guess. Or I'm sorry, I'm dating other people. I need to tell you that. I'm actively dating other people right now. He clearly never said anything of that sort, according to Alina's responses. And he has not indicated that he did say anything like that. So, But there's a chance that he, if we could hear those conversations, that he did give enough hints. That doesn't let him off the hook, that she should have picked up on it and said, oh, he's not being direct with me, but I think he's trying to hint that he's dating other people. So even though he's not being direct, or I need to be more clear with him and ask him directly. Maybe she did that, but I'm guessing we would find, if we heard the conversations, he's 95% responsible at least.
Basically, was out on a date and we ended up having sex, watching Star Wars.
I just want to go outside.
So every once in a while when I'm watching this show, I have learned from y'all that there are these memeable moments. I'm wondering if that's one of them. We had sex while watching Star Wars. I wonder if that's like, come on, lazy, with Nicole and those kinds of memeable moments. Some of y'all will actually send me those memes, in the mail for like the 13th anniversary show. Anyway, but what's happening right now is Alina is learning that she's learning the tip of the iceberg of, she's been living this lie. She was under the impression that from the beginning of their relationship, it was love and marriage and kids and the rest of our lives together. And now she's learning that throughout their relationship, he was dating other women, perhaps telling these other women he's going to spend the rest of their lives with them. So what does that tell us about him? Well, it could mean he's a psychopath and a con artist and knows that he's lying and manipulating. It could also mean that he's immature and he doesn't know how to take responsibility. A 13-year-old is, just give a random scenario. A 13-year-old has a crush on someone, and he goes up to her and says, "Oh, I have such a crush on you," and she's like, "Oh, great, let's go out," or whatever. And he's like, "You're my girlfriend. I love you." And then another girl comes on to him. He's like, "Oh, two girls," and he dates two and lies and has two relationships going at the same time. It blows up in his face after 10 days, and he gets yelled at and broken up with by the two women, by the two girls. In a situation like that, we go like, well, uncool and not okay. You're 13. Hopefully you've learned from your mistake. There's a lot of things that 13-year-olds just don't know about life, like consequences and how to plan for the future and how lies are not okay, even though you're not actively lying, but you're lying by omission. And, acting selfishly will end up getting you nothing in the end. A lot of times there's a lot of lessons that you learn as a young person. Having said that, even if I heard of a 13-year-old doing that, I would still go, so this isn't the best analogy, but hopefully as a society, we would go, well, you're 13, you'll learn. And hopefully you've learned from this mistake. So some people, even in their 20s, are still immature like that. They've still retained that naivete, that limited way of thinking about things, the inability to zoom out and say, what's the bigger picture here? How to mentalize, get inside other people's minds, be in their shoes. That can happen. We see a progression overall that as people get older, through their 20s, through their 30s, through their 40s, 50s, in general, people become better at being in other people's shoes, having more empathy. And this could be a product of that for him. So contrast that with him being a psychopath who actively is a con artist and has no empathy for other people. I don't know which one it is. You tell me in the comments below.
That's something she needed to know. But I feel bad that I did it in the first place, because it would have been better if I never did it and would never have to have told her.
I don't know, but I think he's still in this mindset of, I've sinned against God, I've sinned against my religion, and I've made our relationship impure. Okay, But the bigger issue, and I think the more Mormon-related issue, is you lied. You led her on. You gave her the impression that you were exclusive and that you were going to marry her and have kids with her, and she was your number one and your one and only, while you were doing multiple things. You know, that's the thing about cheating, is that it's not just like, oops, I'm cheating. It's, for him, it's, I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to respond. I'm going to hit on them. I'm going to ask them out. When we go out, I'm going to act like I'm not dating anyone else. I'm going to hit on this person. I'm going to continue to, it's thousands of decisions that you make in the direction of cheating. So the fact that he's not focusing on that is troublesome.
I hate to see Alina in pain. It was my fault.
Okay, he's saying he hates to see her in pain. It's my fault. Okay, I'm just wondering if he understands what he's done. You know, does he understand? It's the lying. It's not the sin. It's the lying. It's the deception. It's the making her like a fool. It's, just imagine that feeling. And maybe some of you know what that feels like, of like, so that whole time while I was loving you and totally into you, and like I thought you were my number one and that we were made for each other, you were out there doing these other things. Like, how did that completely rewrites this entire history? I was just this idiot waiting by the video conference, on Zoom or whatever, just waiting for you to call me, and you're out there like, so it just completely screws up one's narrative, and it's hard to recover from that kind of betrayal.
I understand you.
Now, if he were to say, I'm sorry for lying, I shouldn't have done that, there's something wrong with me, it makes total sense you don't trust me, and I'm going to therapy for it, I don't know, I just go into this place in my mind that I will justify things to myself. I basically tricked myself that you were okay with it, but looking back, I now realize that I was deluded. I wasn't clear with you. I wanted to actually break up with you and date other women because I didn't think we'd ever see each other again. But looking back, I realized that I barely told you anything, and I tricked myself into believing that I told you because I didn't want to disappoint you. And to tell you the truth, I kind of wanted to keep you as an option, not like as a manipulative thing, but well, maybe as a manipulative thing. I don't know. If he said something like that, I could still see Alina going like, F you, I'm out of here. But at least that'd be in the direction of possible recovery. So until we hear something like that, Alina, it would be unwise for her to proceed because there's no indication that he's not going to do this again, and that he's already doing it now, as evidenced by the fact that I remember when Alina's friend were considering tricking him, I'm like, no, that is completely unethical. And now after hearing all this other stuff, I'm like, maybe it was justified.
Can we talk?
I don't want to talk.
Столько было лжи, и это очень больно.
Yeah, good. I'm glad she's focusing on that, because I think that is the part of this that makes the most sense. The Mormon talk is his religious journey, and that's between him and his religion. It's the lies that matter. The other thing that I know some people are commenting about is, he's talked repeatedly about he doesn't want to stay with her because he's worried that he's going to have sex with Alina because he's not going to be able to control himself. And looked through one lens, it's his way of trying to really just make sure that he is following the dogma of his religion. Be similar to an alcoholic. Well, what would it be similar to? Be similar to someone who, like myself, who loves to eat potato chips and Cheetos. And if I have them in my house, I'll eat them. And if I don't have them in the house, I won't eat them. So it's funny to make an analogy like that. But anyway, so that's on one end. The other end of the spectrum, it is an indication that he is, in a troubling criminal way, compulsive about sexual acts, such that when the urge overcomes him, he cannot control himself, and he's learned through experience that unless he puts a lot of limits on him, he'll actually harm other people with his desire to have sex with them. We haven't heard any indication of that second one, and I know some people actually think that that's the case. I mean, it's possible given what he said, but I don't know. We might not ever have this question asked because maybe their relationship is over at this point.
At this moment, I really don't know who Steven is. I am scared I made the worst decision of my life.
Not to pile on while you're down, but it's another reason why you don't commit to marrying someone after 2 weeks of dating them in person. So, just another reason why you should date for a longer period of time in person. Really make sure you know who the person is before you move forward. All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you haven't become a patron of the podcast yet, you can do so now by using a link below or going to patreon.com on your phone. You can download the app or just go on a browser or something. And when you become a patron of the podcast, that shows us that you support what we do. That's the best way you can show that you actually appreciate what we do here on this podcast, on this YouTube channel. Totally up to you. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really, really do.